Okay, it's 2021, and if you're in the market for a new smartphone this year, I highly recommend the Xperia 1 Mark III. But how can I say that, given it hasn't even been released yet? Well, it's for these 4 reasons that nobody is talking about. Quality, ethics, design, and emotion. These are the topics I want to run through quickly with you here today. By the way, if you are a Sony fan, definitely go ahead and subscribe and smash that like button. If you're not a Sony fan, you're going to hate everything I'm about to say. Hey, just before we get into this video, I wanted to say that we're going to cover a topic here that's really controversial. I've done my level best to do it in such a way that doesn't offend anyone and doesn't come across as one-sided, but I really want to hear your opinion. It's about ethics and whether smartphone manufacturers, some of them, are doing enough to make sure that things are done properly and people are being well treated. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and we'll get into the video right now. Thank you for watching. So then, let's talk about quality. Now, I've had Xperia smartphones for years, and the community here that owns Xperia smartphones will tell you, by and large, they are very, very well-built devices. Not just in terms of the feel in the hand or how well they're put together per se, but the approach that Sony takes towards making sure that the quality is there for the long term. One of the reasons I flagged quality here with the Xperia phones in general, and this will continue into the Xperia 1 Mark III, is the focus that Sony puts on battery care. So we've got a couple of things here I want to say about Sony's approach to battery quality. And the first thing is that Sony uses battery care to keep your phone from overcharging, because if it's sat at 100% for hours and hours and hours overnight perhaps, that will cause damage in the long run. Whereas if you can set a time, which of course you can here, to have it reach 100% but keep it below that point until it's fully charged, it's going to be a longer lasting device. Xperia adaptive charging isn't just a gimmick, it's something that really does work. Sony's invested a lot in this technology and it's great. It's one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough, but it's one of the reasons why we as Xperia owners can feel good about the products that we're buying here. It's also environmentally very sound. So the hardware is really well built. Anyone that's owned an Xperia device or any Sony device will tell you that. I mean, Steve Jobs was a huge fan of Sony. That's well documented. He used to hang around on golf courses trying to track down Sony executives, trying to persuade them to put macOS on VAIO laptops, of course, and for a good reason. They're extremely well built. Now, I know VAIO is no longer fully owned by Sony. Sony does have a stake in the company still, albeit a small one. But yes, beautifully made devices. It's important, and as I said before, Sony takes care of those products for the long term, and I hugely value that. But back to the Xperia devices, and Sony has a good reputation when it comes to upgrading devices, keeping Android current. It's not the best, but it is improving. But what I'm hugely fond of here is this. Sony's Android open source project. It's great to see a lot of the older Xperia devices running really up-to-date Android software. This is not just a bit of marketing, this is a real thing and it's a real community. If you look here at the Hero open source developer program, and I'll put the links for this in the video description below. It's really nice to see people being singled out and given recognition for the amazing work that they're doing here. Again, to me, this shows Sony's commitment to giving us long-lasting experiences with really fantastic devices. Okay, so now this is the controversial bit. We're going to talk about ethics. Now, I've already talked a little bit about Sony looking after the battery technology. In this next chapter here, I'm going to have to compare Sony with other companies. I've got to be careful doing that because some people are going to get bent out of shape here. Let's start with Apple. With Sony, I think battery, great. With Apple, I think battery gate, but on a serious note, it was a little bit naughty there, some would say, what Apple was doing. But actually, it gets a lot worse. In actually researching this particular video, this topic here of ethics, I actually found myself feeling pretty down. It's really, really genuinely extraordinarily upsetting to see some of the practices that are taking place. Now, I'm not going to say that Sony is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. No human being is perfect, and obviously no organization or large company can be either. But when I looked into what is going on specifically with Apple here, It's very, very difficult to understand what's going on behind the scenes that's enabling this to take place. In researching this video, I've looked long and hard into malpractice or, ethical violations, child labour accusations, forced, Muslim workers in China there. I can't find anything like that for Sony. And if you know of something, obviously, put something in the comments below. And as you know, I try and respond to absolutely everybody as much as possible. But I think it's important that we think about ethics more, all of us, whatever smartphones or whatever products we buy, because real lives are actually affected. And I know that for some people, it's incredibly important that, a new device is the fastest, the quickest, the best looking, or it's a status symbol, all that kind of stuff. But actually, I think we all need to take a step back and think, is the company that I'm supporting by buying this product really making the world a better place or not? Now, I have done a lot of research into this. Sony does win awards for exemplary ethical behavior in a lot of areas. And although I'm not saying they're perfect, I do feel that if I'm going to spend my money on a smartphone, I can't think of a better example. Although maybe the Fairphone, the guys out of Holland there with the Fairphone project, that is a serious contender, isn't it, as well? And in terms of market share, I'm not sure how far Sony is ahead of them. But yes, if you have any thoughts on this, please do let me know in the comments section below. Now, obviously, we want to talk about design because I like the way Sony does things, and I particularly like the Xperia way of doing things. 21:9, of course, we're seeing on the One Mark III, just like the One Mark II and the one before it. Looks great, feels great in the hand. This is quality hardware, and it looks the part. Now, what we're seeing here is a company that isn't afraid to do things differently. There are some manufacturers, maybe we shouldn't be naming names right now, that do copy other manufacturers. We've seen it a lot, time and time again. Sony doesn't go around copying anyone. It does its own thing, and I absolutely love that. For example, on the Xperia One Mark III, we're going to get a bezel up top and down bottom. It's going to be a bit thinner, we think, than on the Xperia One Mark II, but the point is, it isn't a notch, and it is not a punch hole camera. And I love that, because I've said before in previous videos, Sony respects the content more than any other manufacturer. There's nothing to get in the way, and I absolutely love that. I also love the fact that there are design touches that you just don't see on other phones at all, like the side-mounted fingerprint scanner there, which just falls perfectly into the hand. I've always really liked that. Mind you, I've said that, and I'm sure someone's going to say, actually, there are others that do that, and if there are, let me know in the comments section below. But it's a unique product. That's the point I'm trying to make. And the other really important thing, I think, when it comes to design, and specifically on the Xperia phones here, but also across the board with Sony, is that these are not outwardly flashy designs. These are not bling bling statement pieces designed to show off how rich or powerful, or it's not a status symbol. I would argue that if you buy an Xperia device, you don't have anything to prove. You know how good the quality is, and you don't need to have something that's loud and shouty and in your face. It's just quality that speaks softly, and I really enjoy that about the Xperia phones. And if we look here on Sony's website, when we look at design specifically, these are the keywords: visionary, integrity, empathy. Whether it's IBO or Vision S, or even this funny little dancing speaker here. I mean, that's the thing. It's been designed to dance. There aren't enough dancing speakers, I would argue, on the market. I would like to see more of them. No wonder so many of these designs here from Sony do provoke this emotional reaction. This is not a normal approach to design. And actually that leads perfectly into the final reason that I would recommend buying the Xperia One Mark III, and that is emotion. And it's one of the main reasons to buy any Sony product. Sony's stated aim, of course, is to fill the world with emotion. And of course, let's not forget, this is the company that's given us the absolutely incredible PlayStation 5. And you can sense that DNA literally in the Xperia 1 Mark II, and I suspect in the 1 Mark III as well. Sony calls it dynamic vibration, and what it means is that when you are playing a game, you literally feel it. At first, I thought it would be a gimmick, but the more I use the 1 Mark II, which is my daily driver, and I love that phone, it really is good fun. In fact, I even keep it on when I'm watching movies on the phone. It sounds like a gimmick, some people would say it is. I really enjoy using it, and it just brings that emotional response that I'm talking about. The other thing, stereo front-facing speakers. It's very easy for a manufacturer to cut costs and cut corners with things like this, but Sony's attention to detail and respect for the content is on a different level. And the balance of these speakers, the way that they're tuned, it's a beautiful sound for such a small device, and watching movies back or even YouTube videos is a real pleasure. And again, it gives you that response. There's more to Sony devices and more to Xperia devices than a spec sheet will ever be able to tell you. The other little small details that give me this response, this feeling towards Xperia devices and Sony devices are things like the notification light. I just love the fact that it's there. It's kind of like the phone wants to help me be more productive, be more useful in my working day, and I really value that. Like I value the 3.5mm headphone jack. Again, it would be an easy corner to cut, but Sony doesn't do it. And as one of our regular commenters was saying in a previous video, let's not forget that wired headphones give you amazing sound value equation results. I could have said that line better, but you know what I mean. So I've said all of this before the 1 Mark III has been released or announced. And by the way, we're hoping that that's soon, and we expect it to be at the very latest. I mean, some people have been saying June the 28th. I hope it's before then. But I've said all of these things because they are important. They're important when it comes to buying any Sony device. These are values which connect with me. I hope they connect with you. I would love to know whether they do or not. Let me know in the comments section below. For what it's worth, I said that I wouldn't trade my Xperia 1 Mark II for anything. I might trade it for a 1 Mark III, we'll have to see. But either way, I hope you found this video useful, and when the 1 Mark III does come out, we will give you a multitude of videos covering every aspect of that phone, what it can do, what it can't do. We're going to give you some nice, honest, genuine feedback as ever. Here at Sony 365, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom, and I'll see you next time.